Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Inside the Orange podcast. The podcast all about understanding the people around us. Now, before I go any further today, in just over 2 weeks' time, myself, Mrs S, Team Goddo and our friends will be walking 15 miles around Milton Keynes supporting the National Autistic Society. Hopefully, if my editing is that good, you should see a part of our Just Giving page on the screen with me right now. If not, or if you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify or where you like to listen to your podcasts, obviously you won't be able to see anything, but trust me, it was there. So today my guest will be Richard Eckley. Now, Richard wrote a book and sent it to the podcast, which he classed as a 30-minute coffee read. And he said, would I mind reviewing it? And I thought, we haven't done a book review before, so I thought, well, actually, Richard, come on the show and let's talk about it. So he's here today to do that. So, let's get into the episode. So my guest today is author Richard Eckley. He sent me what he described as a 30-minute coffee read called Your 4 Keys to a Healthier, Happier You. He said, did I mind reviewing it? And I said, well, why don't you come on the show and talk about it? So he's here today. So Richard, welcome to the Inside the Orange podcast. How's your day been so far?
Oh, thank you very much, Rich. Excellent job. So it's nice day today. Spring's in the air. The daffodils are out. It's a beautiful day today. It's nice and sunny. Thank you.
Brilliant stuff. So you said, as I alluded to in your intro, you sent me a 30-minute coffee read, your book. So tell me a bit about it. How did you get to writing a book, and where did your journey begin?
Thank you, Rich. Going back a few years ago now, I was in a relationship. I was married for 20 years. Unfortunately, the relationship broke down, so I ended up with my 3 kids living with me, and they were teenagers at the time, and I wanted to really give them a basic guide for life. But I know no teenager listens to their parents. I mean, I never did. I don't know anyone who does, the teenagers. So I thought, right, they're not going to actually listen to what I say, but they might listen to a book if I wrote a book for them. So I actually wrote the book, Your 4 Keys to a Healthy, Happy You, going into health, wealth, relationships, and mindset. Because I knew nothing about writing a book at all, I actually did a book writing course through a couple called Richard Fenton and Andrea Walsh. And they're the ones, they actually wrote the book. What was the book now? The book was called Go for No. Brilliant book. Then they started to do actually a book writing course, a 6-week course. So I actually did the 6-week course to learn how I could write my book. And then I started to develop the book and actually got into it. And actually, I've been doing a lot of personal development since the mid-90s. I was listening to Jim Rohn's seminar. He's a great personal trainer, a personal development trainer. And he was saying there that people are not like geese. Geese can only fly south in the winter every single year. They've got a genetic code. They have to fly south every year for the winter, whether they want to or not. It's built into them. But as humans, we can change direction anytime we want to in our life. And that just hit me so strong. So I thought, hang on, I've been a carpenter all my life. I can't just change direction. Then I thought, well, I read that seminar and listened to it. I thought, well, I can change my life if I want to. So I thought, right, I want to become an author. So I started to do the training to actually become an author and learn how to do the book writing process, first of all, after I'd learned how the mental personal development along the way, first of all.
That's brilliant. So were your children the inspiration for the book, or was it an inspiration from somewhere else? So how did, obviously you wanted your children to listen to you, but how did that come through? How did that come through for inspiration to you?
Yeah, I said it was the Jim Rohn seminar. So I've been doing some personal development for quite a while. And I wanted to share this, how good it felt. See, when you've got personal development, you've got a positive attitude, you just feel good in yourself. You know, I wanted my kids to feel this good. I know they were sometimes going through a few problems because the relationship had broken down. So I was going through a few problems, ups and downs. I wanted them to share with them how they're in control of their life. Although as a couple would split up, they could still develop any life they wanted to. They just wanted a little guide, a little basic guide of their health, their wealth, their relationships, and their mindset to start them on the right path, if you like. So I thought, right, if I can get them to understand what I'm feeling, that would help. And I couldn't sort of sit down and chat with them about it because they weren't interested because they were teenagers. But giving them the book to read, they read the book and said, well, yeah, Dad, this is a good book. I can get something from this. And I said, my son's biggest thing was, my God, my dad's going to be an author. I can get some girlfriends with it. So, I mean, there's benefits both ways.
And just how, again, I'll use the word inspiring, but how inspiring is it when you connect with your kids? And again, teenage kids are difficult. Obviously, they are working out the versions of themselves, which, you know, is a very multiple of characters and things going on in life. How great was it to know you had made that connection through that book, through writing?
Oh yeah, it was wonderful. It was, because you just, as I said, you try and do the best you can. You want to do the best for our kids that we can. And we always tend to think of what we didn't have as kids and try to overgive our own kids the things we were missing out on. But I thought, well, if I can just get their mindset right, once you get the kids' mindset right and they realize they actually create their own life, it puts them in control. They're no longer being affected so much by outside circumstances. It's not so much their peer pressure and things that go on outside them affecting them so much. They realize that, hang on, I can actually create my own life and I can start to move forward slowly, day by day, developing the habits I want. So that's what I've sort of got installed into them, if you like. They're still going to have problems. Like, you don't suddenly get good personal development and have no problems. Life still throws all rubbish at you. You find a way to deal with it easier. You can cope with problems that come along. You can decide what you want to do with your life and move yourself forward. And that's what sort of I've got developed for my kids. And they're all doing well now. They're all sort of happy and moving forward as like grown-up adults now, which is, it's a wonderful place to be with them.
That's brilliant. So in the book, you talk about you've talked about a few subjects that you sent me, and again, it's a short read, but you talk about money, health, relationships, including with health, exercise routine, dietary routines, dealing with debt, dealing with different bits and pieces, and ultimately mindset. So, would you describe yourself as an expert in these subjects, or is it again something that you've learned and just feel it's for anyone can kind of benefit from?
Anyone can benefit from it, but I've done a lot of studies since the mid-90s when I first got into personal development. So I've got over 20 years of personal development information, if you like, stored in my mind. So that's just what I've sort of been sharing. And I'm continually learning. I'm always learning more things. I'm always learning from new trainers. Like I do like to go back to old school trainers, like Earl Nightingale was in the 50s. He was an amazing trainer. I've gone through all of his books, all of his courses. I've gone through then Jim Rowan's courses, through Les Brown's courses. So I've done a lot of courses that way. The biggest thing I've done is implement them in my life. So once you start to implement what you're learning, you can see this actually does work. And once you start to get your mindset right, you can then sort out your relationships. You can sort out your wealth. You can sort out your health. But until you get your mindset right, no matter what books you read, you may not take the implementation you need to do to move yourself forward. So it's getting your mindset right first of all and think, right, okay, yeah, I can control my life. I can create the life I want, but do one thing at a time. It's no good trying to do a massive change in your life, because quite often if you try and do like a big diet and suddenly you're not going to eat any food for a couple of weeks, you might lose weight, but you can't sustain it. So it's the small steps every day, the habits you're creating, is actually what helps us to move forward and get the life we want down the road.
And I suppose, I think that's what really resonated with me, because, again, without giving too much away from your book, because I tell people that they need to come and find it and read it, it's really good. But the one of the things was with the exercise routines and the dietary routines, and you broke it down into 5 levels. And what I found really interesting was I read level 5 and I went, oh yeah, that's me. And then I went level 4 and I thought, oh no, that's me. And it's interesting where you kind of perceive yourself to be. And again, without giving too much away, so level 5 is low activity down to level 1, which is high activity. But yeah, until you kind of see it written down, you kind of would always think, well, I don't really do much. But it's very good how it's a mental kind of note. And you do the same with dietary, with the 5 levels of what food you eat. And again, how many takeaways that might be, and things. So how did you come to kind of work that out, and did you have any help with the rest of the book as well? But how did you kind of break this down to that kind of level?
Yeah, it was great. What it is, my mum suffers from Alzheimer's, bless her. She's in the late stages of Alzheimer's. So a few years back, I went into deep research into Alzheimer's, what can we help prevent it? And I came across 2 great books, The End of Alzheimer's and The Alzheimer's Solution. And they were both saying, actually, the basic Alzheimer's is it's a buildup of amyloid plaque on the brain. But what actually causes is our lifestyle. 90% is down to our lifestyle. Only 10% is down to genetics, which was a heck of a shock to me. And they said the basic lifestyle choice, it's just basically what you're eating. If you decide to eat healthier, just get the green leafy veg in there. That actually helps to break the plaque down, helps to clear your mindset. If you then drink plenty of water a day, that flushes it through your system. If you then do an exercise, all your organs are working right. You're breathing fresh oxygen. All your organs are working right. That helps it as well. So it's just the basic things. This actually affects cancers, heart disease, Alzheimer's, all diseases, it's all down to the basic lifestyle choices. So all these diseases develop over a 20 or 30-year period. Not something that suddenly comes up in 3 or 4 years. It's our lifestyle choices over this length of time, which is what causing us to have these problems. So once you just get the basics of just eating healthy, I think, right, what level am I at? If I'm just eating too many takeaways, I'm not eating much veg at all. If I think back to what I ate last week, did I have any veg last week? And you think back, well, no, I had 4 or 5 takeaways and I had no veg at all. You think, right, that's not a balanced life. So until you actually sort of like take a look at where you're at personally, see what you're eating, and then just slowly make the little changes. Cut out one takeaway and just have some veg, and just drink some more water. Instead of having all the coffees, drink some water. So it's just little steps moving forward. And then you realize once you start to sort of think of where I am, you can then start to move yourself forward. But until you take account of where you are, you'll never move yourself forward because you don't really know where you are.
No, and it's really interesting. I mean, you know, for guys that follow me on Instagram, I started something. I did a dry January, just kind of linked in this. And I wouldn't say I'm an excessive drinker, but one thing I did have in my life was Red Bull and Relentless Monster. You know, for there are other brands available before I get over anything. But the really kind of the difference of the habitual partaking in this kind of thing. So I used to drink Red Bull because I thought I needed that to stay awake, and you know, if I was busy doing a long day, I needed it. Cut it out and just had water, apart from about a week of headaches of the sugar going out of your body. It was so amazing to know that I mean, I haven't touched one of those drinks in 4 months now, 3 months since it's done. I literally cut them out and I replaced it with water, and it was so interesting that to think, actually, am I drinking that because of a habit, or am I drinking that because I need it? And when you start putting things together, and again, I built a couch to 5, but it all started from a first plan. And again, when I got your book and read that, that's what kind of, this is probably why it resonates so well with myself, because, yeah, you can kind of start to see connections with things, you know, and it's really good. I do want to come on to something. We had a little chat before we started here, and one of the questions I've got today is, how did you write from the female perspective? Now, one of my favourite bits of the book, and we discussed this just before we came on live, and it was the fact of relationships. So you write about men's relationship, men's ideas on relationships, and the female ideas on relationships. And I said that I'd read that part of the book the day that I had, I've got a big garden in my garden. It's all uphill, and I cut my grass. And you described that when a man does a task, he will give himself 20 points. His wife will give him 1 point. Right. So I cut the grass, and as I said to you earlier, I walked through the back door like a god. You know, children embrace me. I have cut that grass. I have done this deed. And my wife looked at me and went, "You've cut the grass." So I love that part of the book, and just the sentiment of reading that book at the time that I did that. But how did you write from that female perspective? How did that come to you in that?
Yeah, again, yeah. As I said, when my relationship sort of broke down, I wanted to sort of study relationships. If you want to be good at anything, you've got to study it. So I actually went into studying relationships and getting books on it. Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. That's a brilliant book about relationships. And then Alan and Barbara Pease did a great one, Why Men Lie and Women Cry. And that gives you both sides of the story, because she wrote all the women's side and he wrote all the men's side. And that gave me, you said, that was where I got that sort of story from, first book, the story, the idea from the women's point of view. So I didn't have a clue about that. I did the same as you. I'd go out and sort of like put the bins out and thought, yeah, I've done a brilliant job. And you just put the bins out. Yeah, but I've done it. And it's like, that's something big. But for her, she's, well, no, just put the bins out. That's nothing big. And it's when you realise, oh, yeah, it's just the little things that make the biggest difference in a relationship. Because so women are more emotional creatures, men are more sort of visual creatures. But it's the emotion of just thinking, taking the little time to show you care. You're going to change that toilet roll. You're going to wash the dishes, do the kids. You're going to do your little bit. And it's those things that mean more in a relationship than the massive gifts. Instead, you can sort of buy a loved one a big present of loads of flowers or nice jewelry. You think, yeah, I've done that. That's brownie points for the next couple of weeks and sorted. But you'll think, oh, thank you very much. It's lovely. But that's 1 point in her mindset, because you've only done one thing.
No, and carry on.
Yeah, so that's where it came from. It's from Alan and Barbara Pease. I studied men and women's relationships, and you sort of looked at it, and I could see through studying their books and reading their books how that affected my relationships. And I thought, right, yeah, I could see what I was doing differently. So it sort of changed my life. So suddenly I've got an amazing relationship with my fiance now. And it's by doing these little things. It's by sort of working with each other and helping each other. So you have such a happy life and you sort of appreciate each other more.
No, and again, as I say, I do love that part of it. And the reason I wanted to ask for the female perspective is obviously when you write a book as a male and you talk about females, you know, it's very difficult areas, you know, when you're talking about something technically you don't know about. So you do have to go away and study, I suppose, and learn.
Yeah, totally. Brilliant. There is to said Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. The author there, John Gray, he did an interview and he was saying the reason he wrote the book was he was a monk for years and he came out and he sort of like experienced women for the first time and thought they were from a different planet. He couldn't understand their mindset because it was so different to men's mindset. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just saying that our mindsets are totally different. Men and women, we think differently, we act differently, and we got different emotions. And that's from his point of view. It's an amazing book, said Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It just lets you look into different psyche. So he did research. He was a relationship specialist. That's something I found as well. If you can find someone who's a specialist in the subject, you can study their work. They can confine 20 or 30 years into their book. Once you can get the benefits of all the good stuff to help yourself then. So that's for the benefits of sort of reading lots of books.
Oh, it's brilliant. So we've talked about the book that you sent me, but there are other books. So just tell me a bit about them and what do you want people to get from your work? So you've just said there you've got a lot from other authors, but what do you want people to get from Rick Eckley?
That's it, yeah. So the other two books, there's Mastering Your Mindset,
Yep.
and then How to Master Your Health. And they're all the ones from, so Your 4 Keys to a Healthier, Happy You is the first one. Then I've got to dive deep. These days dive deeper. So Mastering Your Mindset is all about your mindset, how we control our entire lives through how we think about things. Our beliefs were given to us at an early age, up to around sort of 6 or 7, from our parents. They were passed on to us. And we often just carry on with the same beliefs all through our life. We don't try and change it. Once you realize that our beliefs were given to us by our guardian or parents, we can then say, hang on, I can actually change my belief system by installing new beliefs and deciding what I want to believe. That's only through repetition or a big emotional event, which actually gets you to create your mindset. Then you can develop it what you want. So once you get control of your mindset, as I said before, you then can control any area of your life because you realize we are a mind with a body, not a body with a mind. Our mind is the main thing of our whole life. Once we get that sorted out, we can move forward in any direction we want. And quite often we'll sort of delay doing things because we have to change. Unfortunately, our mindset we've got now is giving us the life we've got now. And if we're happy with the life we've got now, then that's fine. We just keep doing what we're doing. But if we want something different in the future, we're going to have to change our mindset or establish new habits, new systems to think about how we're going to achieve something and move forward. So we've always got to keep learning throughout life. When we sort of went to school, a lot of people, they went to school and they sort of studied at school. So when they left school, they then sort of went to their job, learned a little bit possibly, and then stopped the learning process. But we should learn throughout our life. And the more you learn, the more you increase your mindset, the more you can think, well, wow, this amazing world we live in. We're so lucky to even live nowadays with what we've got. And once you get your mindset sorted, you can move forward. And then said how to master your health is going through into depth of just how we don't just do the basic things, just sleep in the nighttime, getting that basic 8 hours sleep. Basically, through the mindset, we have two cycles of sleep time. Is the non-REM stage and the REM stage, which is rapid eye movement. The first stage, our whole body goes to sleep and works from the body, getting the energy, repairing the cells, doing everything else. Well, the second stage is where it works on the brain. It's getting all the memories sorted out. It's getting the amyloid plaque cleared away from the brain. There's all these steps that we were doing, which we don't realize, which 8 hours sleep is vital to achieve these little things. And again, it's then going into to what you're eating, to what you're breathing, whether you're breathing well or not. We need to go outside, breathe fresh air, and we need to breathe down into our stomach. So many people breathe just short breaths into their chest, which isn't good for your lungs. A deep breath into your stomach, right down deep there, and that gets to your lungs working. It gets oxygen in there. This oxygenates your blood, so your blood flows to all your organs, so everything's healing and working well. So that's more in depth on your mastering your health. I'm doing now the next 2 books going to be how to create wealth and how to develop relationships. So then there's the 4 books going into more depth from the first book, which is Your 4 Keys to a Healthier, Happy You.
And again, I love it, and as I say, I'm more than interested to read on because, as I say, there's some real picks there. One of the things I did take away from the mindset thing, I think, and forgive me if I get the numbers wrong, but you said that our minds make, is it 100 quadrillion decisions every? The timescale I don't want to quote wrong, but 100 quadrillion different decisions or whatever throughout.
10 quadrillion decisions per second.
Yeah,
our mind is working. It's we're always building new cells. Our cells replenish themselves. We're an amazing regeneration machine, our whole body is. So our body is permanently regenerating it. It's making the blood flow. It's making our heart pump. It's making our liver go. It's making our kidneys work. We're moving our fingers, moving our hands. Our eyes are lubricated. Our brain's moving. And yet, unless we're experiencing all this information coming through our eyes into our brain, which we're storing and backing up and deciding how it's working. So we're an amazing supercomputer which is working up here. But unfortunately, we don't sort of use about sort of 10% of its capabilities. So we just stop on autopilot. We just carry on doing the same things, repeating them day after day. But if we, in the future, if we sort of enhance the amount of brain power, the mind power we can have, it's going to be amazing. If we just take the time to learn what we can do and move ourselves forward, it's amazing.
No, it's really, again, really well put. So, where can people buy your books? Where can people find you? Where can people find your work? Just have a little bit of a plug for yourself. Go on, while you're here.
Well, all my books are on Amazon. So on Amazon, you get all 3 books on Amazon anyway. They can also reach out to me at rickeckley67@yahoo.co.uk. I do a deal for a certain podcasts I go on, so I'll do it for your customers as well. If you wanted to have the books, they're on Amazon for $12.99. But coming through you, I'll do 3 books for $12.99. You'll actually just pay for 1 book, you get 2 free. So they're for your listeners only. And as I said before, you can get them. There's digital ones, there's the paperback versions I do. I haven't done the audio yet. I've started the audio, but I need to transfer it across to get the audio finished off. So there'll be audios. And then I'm doing more books that in the future will go on through. I've also got the Eckley Global Community School, which I started last year in the middle of lockdown. My first students are out in Africa with that. So that's all went well. And one of my best students there, he actually got himself into college. He's got a farm and he's backing himself up through college by working his farm alongside it. So it's amazing how where he started off with just a year ago, by going through the course, he got his own ebook done, put onto Amazon. He's written his own first book now, all about Malawi, its land and its people. That's on Amazon now. And that's just through me helping him, advising him, and keeping him going, helping him to realize that he can achieve whatever he wants to achieve. And he was in a very tough situation where he was living with his grandparents in a quite a rundown place, bless him. But things have moved forward amazing. And he's just deciding and learning quite. He said he never knew he had that power to do it. And they said, well, everybody has that power, but no one really knows it until someone tells them they've got it. And then they think, right, I can do it. And then they realize what they can do.
So a question that kind of springs from that, and again, I don't want to belittle what you're talking about at all, but has everyone got it in them to be an author? And if someone is listening today and wants to become an author, what's your advice to them to go and do it? 2 questions.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, said, look, right at the very start, I actually did a book writing course, a 6-week course. I did that and paid for it. But the biggest thing is deciding what you want to do. It's supposed to be something you're passionate about. It's got to be something you really enjoy, something you're passionate about. Because then you'll spend the time to do it. Writing a book, the first book took me about a year to write. So it's just learning it. And once you actually learn the steps of writing a book, you then realize then once you've written the book, you then got to leave it for a while, go back and rewrite it because the first version is going to be terrible. So you're going to go back, do it again. And sometimes you have to do it 3 times before you get the right finish, the end copyright ready. Then you go through it. But it's just deciding what you want to do. And then I said part of my course, my Eckley Global Community School, actually teaches you how to get your book done, how to get it all programmed out, written on Amazon. You can do it different ways. You can do old school by writing it down. You can do the new school, which actually just recording it on a voice recorder. You can have it transcribed and do the editing and do the book yourself that way. So there's different methods you can do to writing a book nowadays. You've got so much technology, we can use that. Or you can just do the old school and just get a blank piece of paper, write the ideas down and start off one step at a time writing the book you want. But there's a book inside everybody. And everybody should write a book at least once in their life.
Yeah. And again, the reason I say I don't want to belittle your work, having an author on and then saying, well, can anyone do this? I just didn't want to offend you in that way, Richard. Yeah. You know what I mean? I didn't mean to cause any offence with it. Obviously, wanted to ask very carefully, of course. So, what is the plan for the next 5 years? Now, in the book, just before I let you answer that, in the book, you've got a vision page. So you have a thing set out where people can put where they want to be in 5 years' time. So let's put that on you for a minute. What does yours look like?
Yeah, excellent job. Yeah, well, if I was to slightly change it, so I was going to get married last year, but COVID came along, so you have to change it. So we're now planning to get married this year in August, but we still don't actually know. So I said, the vision isn't set in stone. It's set as a goal, which you may have to adjust as life throws things at you. So we're hopefully getting married in August. So my first vision on my vision board, which a few years back, was meeting my fiance, first of all. She actually wrote, part in the relationship, I wrote down all the key things I wanted in a relationship, the person I wanted. So I wrote them all down, And then about a couple of months later, I had a friend request from my fiance. I didn't know her. And she literally has all these things, all these traits in her. She's amazing. And it was just like, it's like she's like magicked up. It's unbelievable. But just, yeah, so that's just how it's gone. It's amazing.
Brilliant.
But yes, so no, on the relationships, guys, getting married. Then there's my Eckley Global Community School. I said my first ones were last year out in Africa. And now this year doing into Gambia. So I'm sort of expanding that one step at a time. I said, I only do like sort of 20 students at a time to help them develop it, move them forward, and then move around again. Because it's a global community school, you can do it all online. So all you need is an internet connection, and you can connect onto it. And I can give you the books, send them through emailing. There's the courses you can do one step at a time. As I said, my 5-year plan then is also to actually develop more on my books as well. I've got these books I've got so far. I'm doing 2 more books. I'm actually, this is something totally different. I've actually gone off now a little bit. I'm actually studying about Atlantis and researching all that area of books, just about certain things that have come across. So I haven't sort of looked into that before. That's like a little like side interest I've got. That book's going to be coming out as well later on. But these are more the key books I'm working on at the moment. So it's just, yes, it's just moving myself forward. It's taking like 5 years' time where I'm going to be. So I've got the life I want, my kids, making sure they're all set up and they're happy, so they're all doing well. So it's working out basically your 5 steps is where you want to be and what you want to be doing. So I said myself is getting my school up, expanded further. It's getting my books done. So literally the whole 5 of these books are done, which is what the 4 set was originally started off on. So not me books, doing the authoring. I've also got a podcast myself, so I'll be extending my podcast as well. And it's just, yeah, and it's just moving forward. And it's just basically realizing that your health is the most important part. So I do runs, did a marathon year before last, did a marathon. So we're doing my runs, we're keeping my health all under schedule, so that's all going well. Relationships going well, my mindset's all going well. So it's everything moving forward the way you want it to move forward. So that's just, yeah, that's all good.
No, it's really good, and congratulations, and let's hope with everything going on that you do get to have that marriage. But like you say, what a great way to look at it. Look, if it doesn't happen, it's still your goal. If whatever happens with COVID, again, it's very unpredictable. But it does draw me to one question. So your fiance, your future wife, there, how is she with the mindset game? I mean, I obviously being a podcaster, my wife has to deal with a lot of time that I'm going, have to do this stuff, is she on board? How have you sold it to her? Do you need to sell it to her? What's that look like?
Yeah, no, she's very good. She was always into Reiki. I don't know if you heard of Reiki or not.
Reiki, yeah.
Yes, she's a Reiki, not Reiki master, but she's a Reiki teacher. She does Reiki. So she's always been to the spiritual side of things anyway. So it's just amazing. So we just sort of like clicked together with this sort of thing with my sort of mindset and her Reiki. It's great. So it's worked out really well together. So we just, as I said, when I sort of did this list of sort of person ideally looking for, it was just her. It was just amazing. It was just how it worked out. Was that, yeah, she backed me up 100%. Whatever I'm doing, I back her up 100%. We make time for each other. We have time together. We can do our own things as well. So it's just a balanced relationship. It's like I said before, relationship is 2 people, totally different beliefs, coming to choosing to be together. So then you work together to make one unit, but you're still 2 separate people. So you do your own things. You support each other along the way. So yes, it was great. She's my biggest supporter.
Brilliant. No, it's really good. And I wanted to finish on this question. So I kind of wrote it a bit more long-winded. So you've said about it being for your kids when you first started writing this idea. But how much of the younger self of you would you think this book? How well would that help your younger self if you were picking this up now? Pick a year that maybe it was best that you did pick it up. How does that affect you? How does this book help you?
Yeah. I think it's like anything. They say when the student's ready, the teacher comes along. So it's only until you're ready can you start to change your life you want to do. So if someone had told me, if I'd have seen Jim Rohn perhaps 3 or 4 years before I saw him, I'd have thought, oh yeah, that's interesting. But I wasn't ready for that. So you can only change your life when you're actually ready to change your life. And then certain things just happen. There's a way, I don't know, universal law or whatever, I don't know what it is. But things happen at a certain time and they're meant to happen. So with my books, hopefully they'll just start people to think, oh, hang on, yeah, I'm interested in that. And they'll just start them on the process. So the Your 4 Keys to a Healthier, Happy You, which is the basic step process to get people thinking about their health, their wealth, their relationships, and their mindset, to start them off. So it's better on for youngsters. We said, if you saw sort of teenage years, perhaps early 20s, I wish I had my book when I was about 20, so I'd have done things differently. I would have definitely done things differently in my life. I would never change my life. So I've ended up with my kids, I've ended up where I am. So I've learned to have gone through. But I would have changed things differently and realize that I can actually create my life, which makes such a huge difference in your life when you can actually create it yourself and move it forward step by step.
No, and again, what a great answer for that as well. And it resonates with me because I think, again, we had a chat just before we came on, and I got to where I'm doing this because of moments, because of slight little moments that we have that just go, as I said, mine came from sitting watching doing a business degree, and Simon Sinek come on the screen for me, and just that quick moment just made me go, wow, hang on a minute, let me reevaluate my whole life. You know what I mean? And it's really good. No, as you said, I appreciate, and as I say, my listeners should find your stuff. As I say, we'll have a little chat, and I'll get some stuff put in the show notes or the description of how they can get to your work and everything like that, just so they can do that. And I appreciate the fact you're giving that offer. And guys, honestly, reading the book, and again, I'm interested so much in reading more. And again, it's about mindsets and it's about everything that. And if it is something you are interested in, then take advantage of this man's offer, because it is absolutely brilliant. And again, it's given me. I want to say a massive thank you, Richard, because what it was you messaged me to say, could you look at this? Could you look at my book? It was as simple as that. And you just said it's a quick read, and I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'll have it. I'll have a go, and I'll have a read. And I said, as I said, we got to this point because I said, you said, would you mind reviewing it? And I said, well, let's come and talk about it. And again, fantastic mindset from yourself that you're saying, yeah, come on, we'll talk about it and all that. So firstly, thank you for sending me the book. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you, and for sharing with my listeners exactly just how positive and amazing it is to hear someone that's putting this kind of stuff into the universe. And again, I massively thank you. So yeah, I mean, I can't say anything more than that, Richard, but thank you for everything you've done in such a short space of time for me.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Let me go on your show. You want to sort of get your message out there to people. Sometimes, well, this is said with the COVID, this is the only way to do it. You can no longer do speeches. You can't go on stages. So it's literally podcasting, and that's all you can do. Zoom calls everywhere. Yeah. So this is actually, for podcasting, this is amazing. COVID's a horrible thing, but for podcasting, it's great. Everyone wants to be on the podcast.
It's grown, yeah, absolutely. So, once you get more books out there, Rich, I'd love you to come back and talk more. As I said, this is never a one-time thing. If there's something that you do want to talk about and you're that passionate about, please, come back. But for today, as I say, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. And again, let us know what else is out there, and I'll keep looking for it. Honestly, well done. But thank you so much for what you've done.
Oh, thank you very much, Rich. All the best, mate. Thank you.
And to you, thank you. Thanks for listening to this episode. If this podcast is something you enjoy, then please subscribe to the podcasts and make sure you like and share so more people can hear our message. Remember, if you have any questions for me or my guests, you can get in touch via our website, insidetheorange.co.uk, on Twitter @OrangeWatts, on Instagram @InsideTheOrange, or on Facebook on the Inside the Orange podcast. And finally, there's the email of insidethisorange@gmail.com. All these links will be available in the description. Thanks for listening, goodbye and take care.